So Simmers, welcome to another mod related video. As most of you might know, MC Command Center is one of the best known mods for The Sims 4 and it allows a lot of customization in your Sims game. However, the menu can be quite challenging to navigate and there might be a lot of great settings that you might not know about. I'm here today to share my top 10 settings for MC Command Center that you might not know exist. In case you do not know how to install mods but you wish to try it, I've linked my 8-step tutorial for installing mods in the description box. You can access the settings for MC Command Center by going into an active household. As you can see, I'm playing with the Pancake household today. If you click on their computer, the MC Command Center button should appear. From this menu, you'll be able to change all the settings in this particular video. Tip number 1. You can turn off the monster under the bed. Personally, the monster under the bed is one of my biggest frustrations in game. It wakes up my kids, then they go to wake up their parents. It's just kind of frustrating. And I actually learned recently that you can turn it off in MC Command Center. You can do this by opening the settings menu, scrolling all the way down to the bottom and selecting MC Tuner. From here on, change interaction behavior, and here you'll find the setting to allow monster under the bed. If you click this and you'll disable the setting, the monster under the bed setting will be entirely disabled and your children will never wake up in the middle of the night when you forgot to place that one light that should help with the monster under the bed. Tip number 2. You can have your sim pay child support or inherit money from their dead relatives. It's actually one of the settings that I really like for realistic gameplay, that whenever parents split up, you can have one parent pay child support to the other parent. And I really like the idea, especially in legacy challenges, that there is some sort of inheritance from one dying family member to the rest of their family. You can find these settings in the MC Command Center settings menu and then the first option in MCCC settings. If you click this, you'll find the third option to be money settings. And if you click that, you can also set to auto pay bills, which I find very awesome, but is actually not included in this list. So this is a bonus tip. From here on, you can say that you can select stuff for inheritance. You can select stuff for child support. You can say the percentage yourself. You can set which sim will inherit money, so if it will be all your sims in the save file, if it's just NPC, if it's only your played household. So even within the inheritance, there is a lot of customization that you can do to make sure that your game functions the way that you like it to work. Tip number 3. Did you know that teens can be dropouts from high school with MCC in your game? To be honest, it's one of my favorite features for realistic gameplay as well. Not all teens finish their high school, especially in more dramatic legacy challenges. It is fun to have your teens drop out. And it's actually a very easy setting to find. So if you go into the settings menu, the third option is MC Career. If you click this, then you'll be able to allow teens to quit school. If you just click this, you can say that it's either enabled or disabled. Personally, I do this once I start a new save file. I immediately enable the settings, and this way your teens can drop out of high school quite easily. Tip number 4. If you like MCC for the reason of story progression, I know that it's one of the many reasons that people download this mod. It can be a little bit frustrating that all of a sudden random sims start to marry each other and they have tons of babies and all of your households get messed up, and especially if you're like me and you've created your own save file, you don't want things to change too much. It's fun to have a random marriage here and there, but you can change the percentage of this happening. You can do this if you go into the MC settings menu, you scroll all the way down to MC population. If you click this, you can select populating settings, and then you can set the percentage of babies, toddlers, childs, adults within your save. If you higher the percentage of babies, more of your sims will get random babies in your save file. If you put the percentage to 0 or put the percentage of adults to 0, no new adults will spawn apart from the necessary NPCs to play your game. Especially the baby part is important to put to 0 because this will prevent your Sims from creating all these kind of random pregnancies, having children with people way outside of their marriage. It's a great setting if you want to have a little bit of story progression but not too much in your game. So this is the setting to control that part of MCC. Tip number 5. You can enable teen pregnancy and have a teen learn the parenting skill. I put these two together, but they're two separate settings, so I'll first show you how you can enable teen pregnancy. Keep in mind for this you will need to have the MC woohoo part of the mod installed. If you don't have this installed, you will not have this setting. If you have the woohoo mod installed, you can scroll all the way down in the MC Command Center menu and you can find the MC woohoo section. From here on, you can select woohoo actions and you can select allow teens to have woohoo. Keep in mind, this will allow your teens to have woohoo. It will not necessarily allow them to become pregnant. For this, you also need to enable the risky woohoo settings. This is the next setting that I will explain in tip number 6. So keep watching if you also want to know how to do that. If you have risky woohoo on, then teens can also get pregnant from woohooing. Then, if you want a teen to be able to parent, you can even do this if you don't want your teen to have their own kids, but for instance, you want to have your teens care for the younger toddlers in the household and you want them to be able to learn the parenting skill. You can do this by enabling teen parenting. You do this by going into the first option of your MC Command Center menu, the MCCC settings. From here on, you can select relationship settings, and here you'll find allow teen parenting all the way at the top. If you enable this setting, it will open up all the interactions for your teens with toddlers, with babies, and they will even gain parenting skill from it. So this way, if they have a baby of their own, they can parent it, and if they parent their little siblings, they can also gain the parenting skill, which I think is a very nice feature for realistic gameplay. Tip number 6. How to set a risky woohoo percentage. I like the idea that in Sims you can control whether your Sims will get pregnant from woohooing or if they won't get pregnant from it. But let's be real, it is fun to spice up your game a little bit from time to time and have a risky woohoo where your Sim might get pregnant. I like to have this setting at like 1% standard because it sometimes just causes chaos in my Let's Plays and it's just like immensely fun to have enabled in your game. Keep in mind again, this is a setting that is limited to the MC Command Center woohoo part, so if you don't have that part of the mod installed, you will not have these settings in your game. You can find it by scrolling all the way down in the MC Command Center settings menu and you'll find MC woohoo. If you select woohoo pregnancy, which is the second option, you can set the risky woohoo percentage. You can decide yourself entirely how high you want this percentage to be. I like to play with 1% because there's just always this slight chance that my Sim might get pregnant. However, it doesn't happen too often, so it's not like in every game it happens. If you want to go wild, you can put it at 50% and there is always a 50-50 chance that your Sim might get pregnant from risky woohoo. Tip number 7. You can change the maximum household size. However, this setting is not recommended if you're playing Sims on a lower end computer, if for instance a laptop or an older computer, because there is a reason that the maximum household size is set to 8. If you increase this number, your game might become slower, it might encounter some weird bugs in the game, so please know that this setting is at your own risk. I do, however, sometimes like to add maybe 1 or 2 slots in my household, especially for legacy challenges when I have a large family but I also want to have a cat. I sometimes put my settings to 9 or 10. You can do this by going into MC settings and then go into gameplay settings and increase the maximum household size. You can go wild, you can increase it to 80 people. It will mess up the UI of your game eventually if you have too many people in one household, But I definitely recommend this setting if you like to play with larger families and you just get frustrated that you don't have that extra spot for a cat or a dog. You can always have certain cheats on. This is one of my favorite settings in MCC. I get really frustrated if I have to continuously enter the cheats like BB move objects, stuff like that. And it's just so easy to have your settings or your cheats enabled at all times, especially if you make YouTube videos, but apart from that, it's just very, very convenient. You will be able to do this by going into the first option, the MCCC settings. You will have to go to notification console and menu settings. You will have to go to console command settings. And from here on, you can select which one you want to enable. So from here on, you can go into your build by settings, which is basically all the cheats that will enable you to do build by stuff. So that is the debug, the free build, the move objects on, the show live objects, etc. If you go back, you will also find the full edit mode in COS. You will find headline effects. This is a bonus tip again. If you love to take screenshots, but you just hate that one plumb bob just floating in the middle of your perfectly arranged picture, you can turn them off temporarily. If you disable headline effects, your Sims will not have any yellow plumb bobs spiraling around their head, and it will be perfect for that one screenshot that you want to take. You can also turn on testing cheats, which I also like to do. And the best thing is, if you set this and then you close your game, once you come back, these settings will have stayed the same. So all of your cheats will from now on standardly be enabled in-game. Tip number 9. You can set the relationship settings between your Sims. This is also a setting that is very heavily related to story progression. So if you have the mod for story progression, this is a good tip for you. You can set the percentage of breakups, random marriages, etc. But especially what happens when a breakup appears between NPCs that live in your world. Because sometimes it's kind of weird that married couples just stay together forever, even though, as in case with the pancakes, you know their marriage isn't going well. So in MCC, you can select how many couples in your game the percentage will actually break up, and what happens when they do break up. So if a Sim will move out, and what happens to the children when two people break up. And I find this a very interesting setting because it just brings some dynamic to your game, some realism where NPC kids will have to deal with split up parents that you didn't orchestrate. So I really like this setting. You can find this by going into the relationship settings, which can be found in MCCC settings. Then go into relationship settings, and then as the second option, you'll find breakup settings. If you click this one, you can select what happens when there is a breakup, if a Sim will move out. You can change the breakup between regular couples and the breakup percentage for married couples, so you can even make them differ. And you can select what happens with children when the breakup appears in game. Last but definitely not least, tip number 10. You can change the age span of the Sims per phase of their life. Personally, I love the university pack, but what I don't love is that for some reason, most of my Sims spend their entire young adulthood being in college or being in university. It just doesn't feel realistic. I'm 25, I'm still a young adult, but I finished university a couple of years ago, and it just doesn't make sense that your Sims are already grown-ups, ready for children, actually moving very close to their elderly life when they just finished university. So what I like to do is I like to change the settings of the age span for young adulthood so that my Sims stay young adult a couple of days longer, so I have more time for them to finish university and actually start a job and a family after. You can find this setting by going into MCCC settings. You can set age span duration. You'll have to select human. You can actually also change the age span of your dog and your cat. So if you never want your cat to die, this is the place to go. You select human, and at that point you'll find all the life stages that your Sim can be in. And if you select young adult, it will standardly be at the default, But if you change it and you just make it higher or lower, even if you want to have your sim have a shorter life, but you think short lifespan is too short, this is the place where you can customize all of these settings. And you can also change the amount of days that they are a baby. So maybe you don't like babies being objects, and it's something that you will be able to change with this specific setting. Those were my tips for MCC Command Center. Keep in mind, if you change settings for MC Command Center, you will have to restart your game before the changes take place. So don't forget to do that if you've changed any of the settings. For now, if this video has helped you, please leave a like, it means a lot. Don't forget to subscribe for more Sims 4 content, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!